All right, so let's get back into it. So we were talking earlier about how your favorite things to talk about
Politics, deep
and religion, right?
Yes, for sure.
Like two of the three things people say never to talk about.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
And that's what's so funny to me. Every time, I don't want to out anybody, but pretty much most of the people who have been on before, I'm always like, okay, what do we want to talk about?
And what do you know?
Where do you want to go?
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Not this.
Basic
right?
shit. Every single one has said not politics, except you, Mike.
Mhm.
Cool.
The only one.
Well, it's got to be something worth watching. I really
Yeah.
do think, anytime. I mean, I get why some people aren't political. You think it's
Yeah.
boring, or you don't, or the more honorable reason, you're like, I don't know enough. And I guarantee you'll probably ask me a question or two, and I say I don't know enough. And I think that's the honorable reason not to want to talk about politics. But I do. I think it's important to express your opinions, and like I'm one that definitely gets a lot out of disagreement too.
Yeah.
And again, started the club for that because I really thought, and especially now, I feel like the reason we're in such a bad place is because like no one can talk because we all forgot because everyone's told us to stop talking about it.
Yeah, that's what I don't like is
Yeah.
I want to talk about these things.
Mm-hmm.
I guess because they're so emotionally invested in everything.
Mhm.
Me, I don't know about you guys. You might be the same. I don't really invest a lot of emotion into a lot of the opinions that I have.
Right.
I'm more logical.
Mm-hmm.
I say that though, but I feel like everyone else always says that too.
Yeah.
But
Well, I feel like most people carry a certain level of emotional things about some things, right? But I think, at least with politics, there's some people that have such emotion that, like, if they even think that somebody they like, or, if their family or whatever love, that they disagree with them, they can't handle that. Because they're
Yeah.
like, how can you think differently than me? How can you be
Mhm.
different than me? And then that's a whole thing.
Yeah.
We're not like
But
that
to me,
at all, honestly.
the answer to that is so straightforward. It's like, how can you think differently? I mean, it'd be weirder if we all thought the same.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think anyway.
would that deter you from like having if you found out your girlfriend or whatever had different views, like if they believed in like, what if they were like Mormons or something, or
Yeah, that would be hard.
I mean, I understand
I don't know
the
if it'd put
sentiment,
me
but
off.
like, I don't think I've ever been with a girl I've agreed with on hardly anything.
Yeah, but well, like take that to the highest level. Would you date an Amish girl? Like, I don't think I could do it, man.
if I really liked her, maybe.
Oh God,
There's
but then
some values.
are you
here.
gonna they're
Become
gonna
Amish?
Yeah, because like that's an expectation.
I mean,
Maybe, probably.
I've never-
I'm no expert
know.
on that.
What if
religion,
it's-
How
but
dare you
if-
discriminate against Amish?
yeah, I guess you're right.
what if you do it and then you
And then
find
I
out
just
you love it?
I don't think
and
I
you
would.
never knew before.
Gotta guess. But,
Don't like it till you try it, I suppose.
No,
yeah.
one of the things that I do like is the Amish people. They make you go out. They let you go out and live for like a year
That's
when
cool.
you're 16.
You get like a trial.
That is
there.
cool.
Yeah.
You get
That's-
like
that's
a free
honor.
trial.
yeah,
you
free
know,
trial.
It's
Do
good
they
for
give you
them.
money? Is
I
that
think
part of
so.
They
give
must, right?
You, yeah, they have
it? Do
to
they
fund
have
you.
money?
But the thing is, you get to go out, you get to live however you want, and then you get to decide at the end of like 6 months or a year or whatever, and decide if you want to stay with the Amish community or just go live out in the real world.
God, can you imagine if like every community did that? How much better we would be if it was
No,
just
I
like
think
a
you would just
tradition?
stay in your community though, because think
Probably.
about it.
Most people would.
You
yeah.
grew up-
You grew
your
up
whole
that way,
family,
right?
your friends, everything you've ever known for like 16, 18 years old, for those long years, and then
Mm.
all of a sudden you're just gonna give that up
Yeah,
for what? Just like life of partying.
and probably
I mean?
like one or two people that in the village did stay out there, and I bet everybody in the village
Talk
was like,
so
"Oh my
much
God,
shit, bro.
how dare
Talk
they?
so much shit.
How dare they turn their back on us?" And you're like, "Oh, don't we like that guy?"
Yeah, for sure. That's
all
definitely
the
part of it.
moms in the town are gonna talk trash about me
Talk
for the
mad
next 30
trash,
years.
yeah. No doubt.
All right, so I prepared a questionnaire.
Okay.
Let's do it. Let's get
roll.
into the questionnaire.
And the questionnaire here is this is actually probably the most work I've ever done on a podcast.
Okay.
Next to the one I did with
Humbled.
conspiracy theories. Mainly because I actually did stuff. Most of the time I just go off straight away where the fuck I'm thinking.
Mm.
But you know what? I'm moving on. I'm trying to be better about stuff. We're going to be professional here.
I like it.
Okay, we're going to start off with something easy.
Okay.
Were you surprised Trump lost the election?
You touched that.
It's simple yes or no.
Yeah.
I think, okay.
Yes.
Absolutely.
We'll always start with
You were
my-
surprised?
No, I was not surprised. Sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was not surprised at all.
Mhm.
Really?
I'm surprised he
No,
won the
man.
first one.
I
man.
mean, look,
yeah.
the For sure, we were all surprised he won the first one, and that's why, like, I mean, look, the incumbents do have the advantage, of course. Like, if you were in office, the odds are you're going to keep it. But on top of Trump being Trump, he did like COVID did not do him any favors. Okay, and like anybody looking at, I mean, you saw how they campaigned against him. They were just kept telling the body count. And I mean,
every single fucking every week,
and
because New York Times had that whole fucking, they had a entire, that one whole day where they just said they had every name of everyone who like passed away from it.
Jesus. Well, and and even Biden in the debates, I mean, it's like the debates were like another tragedy in and of themselves. Like, just
I'll be honest with you, I didn't even watch it.
Yeah. Well, you didn't miss a thing. Dude.
I mean, I got the highlight reel.
Yeah.
The first one, especially with Chris Wallace, was like, this is a travesty that these are our choices. Like, this is just like,
it was painful, man.
Yeah, it was like it was a race to the bottom. Like, it was like, okay, Trump is like more of an asshole than we thought he was somehow, and Biden is I was as concerned about Biden's senility as I ever was, and like and more.
I still am.
I mean, it's early. He's done a lot of executive orders, but like,
I don't love that.
They just bombed the shit out of some country, right?
Syria, yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, he bombed an Iranian-backed militia. Foreign policy is one of those areas that I love, but I know so little about, just because we're business majors, man. We did not have like a form, and me especially, I kind of hate it. I wanted to be a political science major. My dad was like, go to business school, get a business degree, like go get a real job. And I took his advice, and and I don't regret it. But in some ways, I wish I could have like also taken a bunch of those classes just so I could know.
So you weren't surprised?
No, sorry. Yeah, no.
No, it's fine. I just want to get a clear answer.
Yeah, no, I definitely wasn't surprised.
And Charlie, were you?
I wasn't either. This might sound a little right wing. I think the left has pretty solid. Put it this way, I don't know that the left controls the media, but I think all media sources pretty much, except for Fox and like little ones like InfoWars, Breitbart, are run by people that are absolutely left-leaning, and they don't really try to hide it in my mind. So, like, I think it's a matter of time. I think the fact that they won the House and the Senate, didn't they win them both?
Barely won the Senate. They didn't do as well in either one as they were supposed to. But they did win them both.
But I just think people really, like, even my dad, like, got really turned off by Trump. Even like lifelong conservatives, like after a certain amount of time,
Carter, right?
Yeah, right, exactly. And after a certain amount of time, like, I think he was almost like the troll candidate in 2016. Like, he was like, how mad can we make the liberals? And like, it clearly had some merit. He won off that pretty much. Like, he made them as mad. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, you're right. That's not really merit, but I think he really ran on. How mad can we make them? I'm literally everything they hate. I'm a rich, pretty misogynist, pretty racist. Like, pretty much everything the left doesn't like is just Trump, and they kind of just put him in there because they thought it would be funny.
Yeah, I don't think it's. I think because I've wondered this too. I don't even know if it's like really just that the left hates him. I think it's just that like
he's pretty hateable. Yeah,
like the government,
the establishment,
just in general. Like,
right.
Yeah, he's just anti-establishment.
Yeah.
I think is what the main criteria. I would say. I was surprised. I thought he was going to win.
Really?
Again. Yeah.
I didn't think so.
Well,
because
so what made you think?
Yeah, why did you think he was going to win? Just the incumbency thing?
Yeah, he had a really strong base. Really strong. People really liked him.
That's the thing.
And just,
those guys didn't bail.
Yeah. I do think,
until January 6th, they still didn't bail.
I don't think they have yet. He was at CPAC not even 2 nights ago.
Yeah, he's hinted at running in 2024, right?
He said I might decide. I was watching it today at Aldi. He's like, I might decide to run again and beat him a third time.
What a fucking Trump.
Beat him a third time. Oh my
what
God.
What a fucking Trump thing to say.
Yeah,
well, and this is, I mean, my big thing with Trump, I think he came in and took the party. I mean, he took it completely. He came in and said, this is mine now. Everybody that voted for you is going to be more enthusiastic about me, or they're going to leave. Right. And I think one thing that I like to do with politics is especially because a lot of politics is, okay, just name calling. Like you say this person is this-ist usually. So a communist, socialist, fascist. And the claim that Trump is a fascist, the way I always sort of try to see if that's valid, like a valid attribution.
Yeah.
How differently would it look if he was or wasn't that? So with Trump, how different would it look if he was a fascist? Well, the nativism is there.
Mm-hmm.
The sowing doubt in establishment is there. The reactionaryism is there in terms of you want to go back to a different time, make America great again. That's there. You have sort of a deviation from the free market principle. Like, dude, Romney, McCain, they were like Milton Friedman's like wet dream.
And that was my biggest. Well,
like the free market junkies, they're like capitalism.
That's how
like he's not even that way.
Yeah,
I mean, he's trying to do all kinds of big government expenditure, and he was a very aggressive executive guy.
He's against free trade too.
Yep, protectionist trade policies there. I mean, all of that, all the boxes are checked, and then the sowing doubt in elections that don't go your way, that was there.
That's kind of always been there though too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even when Hillary lost, it seemed
fake
like
news, the scorn of the media, that was there. And so you go down the list, you're like, all right, I mean, maybe you're right, my right wing friend. Maybe he isn't a fascist, but like, how different would it look if he what's he doing that's not fascistic? Like, help me understand why
it's just the military.
Why these concerns aren't warranted about the guy.
Yeah,
and I think you can look at it the other way with like Biden. People are calling him a socialist, and it's like, all right. Is he doing the minimum wage thing? No. Is he doing sort of old school liberal foreign policy? Yes. Not like revolutionary or sort of or even isolationist foreign policy, which is also really popular among leftists. No. Is he trying to nationalize industries? Not really. No. I mean, and I don't expect him to. Is he like granting just mass amnesty? No, not really. I mean, he's doing some pro-immigration things, but he's not, the
kids still in cages,
he's not a super
right?
radical.
Yeah,
Yeah, sure. The
that's
kids are
another thing.
still in cages. So like, that's how you could do it, and when it wouldn't hold water. Obviously, you could flip that and like look at someone like AOC and like, well, yeah, a lot of what the squad wants to do is pretty radical stuff.
Yeah,
but that's my beef with Trump, and it's coming. I was a guy. Obviously, we were raised right wing, not that right wing. I mean, my mom never would tell us anything about what she thought. Dad obviously was pretty right leaning, but
was he vocal though?
No, well,
No.
not really. And
My
when,
dad's not
and when
vocal
we
about
would
much,
bring it
pretty
up,
passive.
we would
Okay.
we would poke at my aunt, who was very outspoken left wing,
Mhm.
and we would just poke at her. And then the way we knew that my dad was conservative is my mom or she or my aunt would go, "They get this from you." Like this is because not like that mad, but they're poking at him too.
yeah.
Like
And he
it's
would
all
laugh.
good fun. But
Like,
yeah,
how can you blame
he'd be
me?
like,
I didn't say it.
I don't know where that's coming from.
How old were you when you realized? Like when you got the scope of politics?
Oh no, this is when we were young. Like he said, all our life, like when we were like 8 or 9, we didn't really know what we were talking about.
We just wanted to argue.
But we just wanted to argue, and
Yeah.
we'd,
Whoa.
and
That makes sense though.
we'd be like, I don't know if it was McCain or whoever, but
Do you think that
we'd be
That's the thing,
like,
though.
oh, you like the Democrat, like I guess
I
who
never
ran
was a
against
big
him?
fan.
Obama.
I still haven't
Yeah.
been ever a big fan of any elected like I saw a tweet the other day that said, thinking the politician is on your side is like thinking the stripper likes you.
Oh,
And I thought that was really funny. I
like
think
the
that's
Hooters
true.
waitress
Yeah,
is like
like,
actually
yeah,
into you.
into-
It's
yeah.
like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, right. And
That's a
it's
really
like,
good one.
it's great. And I always think I think if you want to like politics, if you want to get into it, do not look at the stupid speeches and the actual people who are sitting in office. Like, they're a lot like the players on a football team, right?
So
like the coaches or the theorists, like the people that write the books that all these people are honestly plagiarizing and just parroting. Those
Yeah.
are the people that you want to like listen to and read, and that's what I've been getting into in college, and it's been really fun.
So before we move on to the next question, you said that you'll like to argue, correct?
Mm.
A lot.
Do you think there's a correlation between liking politics and liking the argumentative side to it?
Absolutely.
There is, but I wish people so I think there used to be more, but now politics has become something very different. I think a lot of people are. It's almost like it was a fad because everybody wanted to be, against fascism or whatever, and that's part of the reason. Like, I sort of wanted to disagree with everyone on Trump being a fascist, but obviously I made my point about like how he kind of fits the pill. But I think people are. It would be better if the argumentative types were into politics, but I think honestly they've been exhausted because now arguments are really, really shallow and fast food. Fast food politics is like a phrase I use all the time because that's what it really has become. And I think people that are interested in politics have really grown, but they're just people who don't know anything about it, but like really kind of like the idea of putting slogans in their Instagram bio and feeling politically informed, that kind of thing. So, I mean, I'd like it if more argumentative people were into it again. But obviously I've done like the club and that kind of thing, but I think, it would be better if people were more like the people that were into politics were more into arguing also, because then maybe they would be a little bit less inclined to think everybody to their right or left, depending on where they're standing, is either a fascist or a communist, and that they need to be shouted down. And
I think it's
not
easy.
heard.
I think it's easier for people just to be like, "Oh, I don't want to think about it, so I'm not going to make up my mind."
Yeah,
And
well,
then
it's a lot to think about. You know?
I know.
There's so much that goes into all of it. You just one issue, you could probably, you could spend.
Clearly.
You
Well,
could
first
spend
question.
hours just reading different thoughts about just minimum wage. I did it when I had to do a debate about it, and that's just one thing,
Yeah.
Got
So
to
to really be a well-informed, opinionated individual would really take a long time to get through all that. Most people don't have the interest or the will either.
Yeah.
Well, you sort of have to be. I kind of like, and like I said earlier, like, I think I would love it if nerds and the people that like to argue were the only ones interested into politics again. And if everybody that was like, sort of like, I don't really know anything, but like, I don't like this. So,
Yeah.
well,
I always hate the question too, where it's like, "Oh, are you left? Are you right? Are you Republican or Democrat?" Because they never say really a side most of the time. They just say, "Oh, I'm right." And, I like both sides basically, which I always think is more or less, which is fine, but it's kind of like
Cop out.
a cop-out answer.
Yeah.
It's not really answering my question there. You know what I mean? But it's also a stupid question. That's why I'm not going to ask it either.
Right.
So let's get into the minimum wage, like you said.
Sure.
So that was another question.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not for minimum wage staying the same. Like, I think it hasn't gone up in what? Long time.
Yeah.
Not connected to, it hasn't been connected to the inflation rate like it
Decades,
has
I
in a
think.
lot of other countries.
Which is what
I'm opposed to, and what I debated against, was the idea that like tomorrow or like ASAP we should federally, which means everywhere in small town Montana and LA and New York, make the minimum wage $15. Because I think how many I asked Matt, and I also clarified this with the guy I was debating. He thinks we should get rid of tips, like tipped employees. And if you do that, A, we're taking a pay cut. B, Matt told me he'd have to close the store down for at least a week and fire everyone, like, or at least half.
Yeah.
And different
the
other
big,
businesses in small towns.
The big thing is dollar menu's gone.
Yeah.
And it's really the smaller, like something like Goody Gallery, like a small
local
deli,
something
local, they're not going to survive. And the only guys that are going to survive are those big businesses.
Walmart will be fine.
Yeah,
Target will be
Walmart,
fine.
Amazon, everything.
I mean, they'll still lay people off, don't get me wrong, but like,
yeah, because I think that's the other thing is like, I have to double your wage. Well, I'm going to fire half the people.
I'm going to fire half the people so that it's not. And
I don't want to feel that.
Then
it's not built into my
customer service goes down.
Yeah,
businesses absolutely close because it's COVID and they're already
still gets
struggling.
jacked up because they
price has to go up to offset that.
Yeah,
and
because they can get away with it.
The counter argument is something like, well, if everyone's making more money, then they can pay those increased prices. But I'm just not buying that.
Well, during a
pandemic, when everything's shut down, people are not going to spend a bunch of money.
Yeah.
B, that increased money is only for some people, the people that don't get laid off. All the people that got laid off are spending way less now.
Yeah.
So I really just think it's a quick way to hollow out the economy and put a bunch more people out of work.
Yeah.
In a time where unemployment's at like 6-7%. when normally it's like 3 or 4.
Well, if we took the pandemic out of the equation,
then maybe. Then like maybe down the road. But the other thing that it doesn't account for is if it's not regional, like $15 might not be enough in LA. You know, like the prices there are absurd.
It's almost definitely not.
Yeah,
it's almost and New York, specifically, LA's bad, but New York's like absurd.
Exactly.
Like you have to live in an apartment in New York City is like the rent's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to be making like 15's not, you're not comfy.
Yeah, that's like what I think if you play it out, it's like 30 something. If you do 40 hours a week for a 52 week, whatever it is. I don't think it's the right way to combat that problem, and I certainly think it's the wrong time. I think if you're gonna do it, bump it up a few dollars, maybe federally. We should do
10.
You know, we could do 10 maybe. I don't think that would kill
like
businesses.
right now, federally maybe.
You know,
it's such a high jump.
Yeah, doubling it, really, more than doubling it. You know, and where'd they come up with that? You know, it's probably still not super livable, and like a lot of places, you know, $15.
Even in Atlanta.
Yeah, that's not necessarily a living wage, right?
Yeah.
So.
Well, isn't Washington the only state that's done it, right? Seattle?
D.C. I thought did it too, but they're not a state. But
I think just Washington State.
I think so.
But
there's companies that
Target's
already
doing it.
Yeah, and I think Amazon might have. No,
not yet.
That's somebody that are complaining.
They're fighting on it. Because they were talking about getting a union too.
Mm-hmm.
My thing, and it's sort of the same vein. You know, I'm honestly more inclined to, because there's some good data about minimum wage not being as catastrophic as people like to pretend it is.
Well, I think it's easy to say, like, you know, especially as a politician, to be like, we're gonna
pay you more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, yay, who doesn't like that answer? So it's like, obviously,
you gotta hate that a bit, you know.
I also hate the argument against minimum wage that like, oh, those jobs are for high schoolers.
Oh,
that's a horrible argument.
Yeah.
Like, that is just not. It's not that people don't deserve to get paid more. Of course, like almost every case they do, but it doesn't mean it can happen. It certainly can't happen overnight. It certainly can't happen Like if we're gonna try and help people and increase their wages, I'm not against that.
Yeah,
but we don't need to.
That.
We don't need to. Exactly. But we don't need to throw a wrench in the whole already, like, what would you call
pretty broken,
not broken, recovering economy. Like that. Like you're gonna hurt it some more by just doing that when we're already giving out stimulus checks and all this other stuff, all this other spending.
It's not like we've been conservative recently.
Yeah, exactly.
We got 1.9 trillion on the way.
Mm-hmm. So
if they get it through.
I think I think it's the wrong call. I think, you know, you can increase the minimum wage, but doubling it federally is a bad decision. And I also think we make more than, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So
yeah,
I would not like to see that happen, at least here.
No, I don't want to I want to keep making tips.
Yeah.
It's better for the consumer. It's better for the business. It's better for us. It's literally better for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I mean, because you pay our.
We'd make much less.
Yeah, much less. And honestly, I don't know. It'd be weird. There'd be no incentive for me to take like 5 tables.
Exactly.
I would only take 3 and be like, that's it. I'm only taking 3.
Exactly.
Because why else would I take more tables?
Yeah. Why am I going to be more busy?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't. Yeah, absolutely.
But anyways, let's go back with the stimulus check. Before, I was really hesitant to actually get one because I was afraid of, like, especially this time last year when they were in talks of doing this.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know necessarily, okay, if they give us all a bunch of money that just doesn't really exist, you know what I mean? What the fuck is that going to do to the economy?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I was always, I mean, I guess it was fine.
Tank it
really,
in 20
but
years, the answer.
Because, like, okay, we got $2,000 just overnight. That money they didn't make more money.
No.
They just,
no.
it just existed for no reason.
I mean, you know, like that's that old
No,
adage.
they took it from you and me and you and whoever's watching.
Just like, down the road.
But they just took it from us, like, later. And, like, also our kids. Well, really, our kids, because they've been doing that forever, and that's the whole structure.
That's literally the idea.
And this is the part, like,
and you'll see those
you have
TikToks.
folks saying stuff like,
"Why can't we print more money? Why not?"
Yeah, that's fake.
Yeah,
yeah, I don't.
Come on, man.
That's not fake.
Use your brain. It's not fake.
No.
It's real. There's gonna be some ramifications. You're just not thinking it through.
So we're later on. Well, not for me. Before y'all's kids. I'm not having kids. For y'all's kids,
No?
it's
ahead.
gonna suck. No, I just like it's just a thing.
Okay.
But just the future generations are gonna pay for this. Shit.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna suck. That's why I didn't want it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's good for people who need it.
Well, if
You
you
know what I
didn't
mean?
get it, everyone else still getting it. You might as well.
Yeah,
be
that's-
yours,
No,
too.
what am I gonna be
That's-
like?
yeah.
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I like.
I'm
I
gonna take
want.
the hard.
No,
stance.
I want to help my kids.
I
Like,
want
you know?
target. I want targeted
Might as well
unemployment
take it.
checks, not stimulus checks for everybody and their brother.
Yeah.
Like just anyone. Like just
Yeah.
everybody who's above 18. Did they even build in like a limit of? I don't know. I didn't read the policies.
I
as
think
much
if
as I
you
should have.
okay, if you made
We didn't
Like
get
over
it
75.
because we're dependents.
We didn't get it because we're dependents, but
Yeah.
otherwise we would have.
your parents didn't get it, I think
My
they
parents
a
got it.
small.
They got a
right?
small one probably.
Yeah, it was probably small. They make
Because they're married and they
okay
make
money.
fun money.
That was
yeah.
the one time I was like, dude, I'm so glad. Like I'm independent because
Yeah.
I'd been dependent until 26,
Mhm.
so it was literally like 1 year
Like
later.
1 year, yeah.
And I was like, oh my god, thank God.
yeah,
dude.
exactly.
That's why I bought all this dumb shit back here.
Fuck yeah. That's
Because
good.
I was fortunate, I privileged or whatever, but I was fortunate. I got to continue to work.
Oh,
and it was-
that is good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was fun. It was weird though
Yeah,
too.
I can't
Well, we were-
imagine actually continuing to work during that.
Well, we were in quarantine or whatever, and like, basically we said give our shifts to
To people
Yeah.
that,
to people that like
yeah.
have
get it
kids
or
to
want
support.
it.
Like this is
Yeah.
for whiskey. Like
Mhm.
that's why we
yeah,
work.
we
So,
literally
like,
work.
So
for beer
like
money,
you
yeah.
know we were kind of like give it to people who need it or whatever. Give the shifts away. But it was a fun time. Kind of like it was. Like,
Yeah, I hate to say it too.
we
man,
were
I
in-
had a blast.
We were in
Oh,
school.
God, we were having a great time.
We were in school, and the girlfriends more or less moved in.
Yeah, we were.
really?
We were in one of our fraternity
Oh
houses.
yeah, no, I saw you.
Yeah, you saw us. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were in a fraternity. We were just drinking every day on the front porch, just
It
hanging
was like
around.
spring break
Obviously-
for like a month.
Yeah.
Obviously, like the bars weren't open, so that wasn't going on. But we were just getting trashed, watching TV, doing online school, which was easier than this ever. I got 4.0, not even trying. And like I've never gotten a 4.0.
Yeah.
That's
know.
awesome. I was going out for bike rides. I was
Mhm.
coming home. I was cooking dinner.
Yeah, we were
What-
cooking
we
like
were cooking
hell.
lunch.
We had so much food left over too
Mm.
that they would just because people would call in order,
Mhm.
not show up pick it.
Mm.
Oh,
I-
thank you.
yeah.
Yeah, that'd be
Cool with
awesome.
me.
And they were doing that discount situation too.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
could buy raw meat.
Yeah,
It
we
was
bought
great.
the hell out of
Yeah.
that. We
Yeah.
bought the hell out of that stuff. That was great.
It was so good. And I only worked 4 days. Usually I work 6 days a week, so I went down to 4. I only worked for
Jesus.
3 hours. And
I
we
don't know how
closed.
you're there that
We
much,
closed
man.
at 9. Closed at 9 o'clock.
Yeah,
got
we were
out of
closing
there.
Early, yeah, that
Everyone
nice.
was gone. It
Yeah, I'm
was
sure
so
that.
much
I'm sure
fucking
you
fun.
didn't have to stay late. Yeah, that's nice.
No, because they were like, you can't stay
Yeah, no.
15 minutes past close. You
Yeah,
have to
you
leave.
have
So
to get
immediately
out
at
of
9, we locked
Get
the
out of
doors and
here.
left.
That's sick.
That's awesome.
Which at a restaurant is amazing. Because
Yeah.
usually you're there to like
Yeah, usually.
midnight.
Yeah, closing,
Dude,
especially in the
fucking
kitchen.
Fucking
silverware.
awesome. Yeah, rolling silver and doing that bullshit.
Brutal.
All right, let's go on. Next question. We'll change it up. Is climate change real?
Yes.
Okay.
Fucking-
I figured this
yeah.
one was going to be an easy
Yeah,
one.
this is an easy one.
This is the
yes.
one like I had someone reach out to me and wanted to
Is
see if we
it?
did a
No,
climate
it
change
is.
debate, and I sort of I was like maybe we can look at doing that next fall.
Who's gonna
be
argue
gone.
against?
I was
it?
like, I don't know if you think I'm gonna like conjure up a ghost, but like even the conservatives I know are like, yeah, no, we need to get on that shit, like because we're all young, like we're in college, so like none of us are like trying to like be like, nah, it's not real, because we know we're gonna have to see it or our kids will.
or deal with it.
Yeah.
And like,
Especially these younger.
I'm thinking that's
cats.
gonna be one thing we all sort of get over.
My sister teaches high school, and she says like it's not like a big issue. Like I mean, like I recognize it absolutely, but I don't know anything about it. But this younger generation, apparently, all of them know all about it. This
The
is just from
climate
my
change?
yeah, this is secondhand from my sister who teaches high school. But
Yeah.
she says like whenever I do a project like that, they can choose what they want to write
They all
about or do
that,
about.
yeah.
Half of them at least do just about climate change.
I wonder why. Why are they so obsessed
I guess
with
they
it?
You know what I'm
talk about
scared
it
of?
more.
No, I'm
in
scared
school.
in school
Yeah.
when they were like in elementary school. They're like, hey, so you know how we sort of told everybody they were kind of screwed? Y'all are fucked. Like
Yeah.
y'all are fucked.
I guess it is because, okay,
That would make sense.
Like
you know?
yeah, it would make sense.
Kind
When
of
I-
hope they did. You
when I-
know, because I'm not going to be the one to figure that out. And I hope someone does. So.
Sure.
when we were, the people we work with, some of them are teachers and they help out and do stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And they're younger than us. I mean, they'll
Mhm.
be like 24, 25. and they teach like elementary school kids or whatever.
You talking about like the people that go to the college that are in college for teaching, or are you talking about? Okay,
Some people we work with too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how old your sister is, but
she's like a few years
31,
older than you,
32.
2 or 3 years older than you.
so not even that much older.
Mhm.
But when you're that young, you think of them being just so much older. You know what I
Mhm,
mean?
yeah.
And now it's just like, dude, that's like me teaching a bunch of kids. God, that'd be awful. I couldn't do it.
I wouldn't want to do it either.
But it makes me think that maybe they're
teaching
like
high school would be something else.
No, I couldn't fucking do that.
This
Yeah,
is
that
why
No, I think middle school would be
Because
the
they got
worst.
some egos on them. Yeah, well, middle school you
school's
got to
probably the
deal with the
worst.
awkward shit. I think but honestly, they all have their challenges because little kids are just little monsters,
being
not
a
civilized
professor
at
would be
all,
the shit.
pooping
be
themselves,
fair.
throwing up. you know?
Aside from the salary,
Elementary, middle school, or high school? Which one would you teach?
high school.
I think high school.
Yeah,
And
I'll do
then
high school.
middle
I think I
school,
could
and
deal
then
with the little-
elementary school.
No,
I think I
do.
could deal with little fucker's ego better than I could deal with like some little kid that can't,
Oh yeah.
crying or pooping
Dude, I'm
themselves, like that kind of. Like I hear that. I hear about that every day from my roommate's girlfriend who's teaching elementary school.
Yeah.
Like she's she's gonna be a teacher. She's like in that last year, and so she's like taking care of 6-year-olds.
Yeah, this girl shit herself today in class.
Yeah,
like,
and everyone
laughed
like looked at her. Like
Oh my
I don't
God.
know.
Awful.
I don't know how I would deal with
Kind of
that.
funny though too.
Oh, I mean, it'd be hilarious for you, but you like,
And
what do
she
you
told us
say
with
to that
tears in
little
her eyes,
girl? Yeah,
laughing.
like what do you say though? Like are you just like it's okay? Like call their parents, and then like another kid's like biting teachers. You know what I mean?
Ugh.
Because they're just
He's
little
biting-
monsters, man. They're just not civilized.
They're fucking.
And
I
then
couldn't
in
do
middle
it.
school, it's a little bit better in those senses.
That's
But
why I
like,
said high and middle. elementary,
jeez.
in that order.
Just little kids like
It wouldn't be fun.
banging in the bathroom. They're like 12, 13. You're like, what are you doing? That absolutely happened when we were in middle school. I wouldn't want to deal with that either.
That didn't happen
Horrible.
to me.
So I'm thinking high school. Oh, I didn't do it.
no,
I
yeah,
didn't do
no,
it.
We were in public school in Atlanta, man.
Yeah,
Everything happened.
everything happened.
Everything happened.
It's true.
It was wild.
yeah, high school would definitely be the easiest.
We
I
had
feel
bomb
like at that point you
threats,
just,
man. It was crazy.
Oh, we did have bomb threats. That's true.
A couple, more than one.
Jeez.
Never happened.
All right.
Yeah,
Let's
next
go on,
question.
Next question. Yeah, climate change, not real. Anyways, I'm just kidding.
No?
It's real. Let's see which one do I want to do next. We'll do the wall.
Mm.
The wall.
The wall.
We can do the wall.
Did they build it? Did it ever happen?
Sorta.
They keep
Man.
like
Did they? I mean, you
They
never
fucking
heard about
they
it.
keep slowly building it, right? Because George Bush started one, and
Yeah.
then Trump
Oh, did
started
he?
to he started to just continue.
Trump
but-
talked about that at CPAC the other night too.
Dude, it's so. I don't think people realize how massive.
How massive that has to
It's
be.
so.
Well, this
and-
is the other, and not to be too sorry, I'm gonna make fun of the right wing. We clutch our pearls at stuff like jobs programs and early childhood care, prison reform, that
Expenditures.
sort of thing. Yeah, just different government expenditures, and then we're like, oh yeah, no, 90 trillion for a wall. Fuck yeah, like let's do it.
Military spending
trillions for planes and stuff. Yeah,
too. Yeah.
fuck it, let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
45
like-
million per helicopter.
Yeah,
You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
there's
just like,
like-
bro,
dude, write it off. It's great. And it's
we
like,
need it.
Yeah.
okay, so do you care about government expenditure, or are you just sort of an asshole? And like I think it's one of those areas where like the right wing's always going to lose political clout because they're just like, they won't see, they're like, we need a strong national defense. And like, it's just like, yeah, we do. But like, you can't say that healthcare would cost too much
And then
because it
spend
would be
more
a
than
couple
that.
$1 trillion and then spend that on a fucking jet.
Yeah.
Or 10. Yeah.
Yeah, or
So, do you
10.
think we spend too much on military?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely
It's, like,
did.
clear, you
Even
know?
right wingers say that. These
I mean,
days.
you
They're
know,
like,
keep
"There's a lot
ahead of the
waste."
competition. Like,
Yeah.
I'd
America's got to be number one at everything. baby.
well, we're not number one in anything but that. So, like, it would be nice to be.
Heart disease, baby.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess you're right there.
But no, I
heard there's another country catching us, though, with being fat. I can't think of it now.
Japan, Europe.
No,
No, I think it's in South America.
Japan's got us on suicide forever.
Brazil?
Though.
I don't know.
Oh yeah. No, I've read
a
about
part of the
Japan's.
culture,
Japan has that in suicide?
But if you think about it, it's always been part of the culture. Like with the what do you call that?
I forget
with
it.
the
With the
disembowelment,
with the
where they're,
stomach and the sword. We watched the whole
samurais?
documentary.
Yeah, we should
There's a
know
cool
that.
documentary on Netflix.
What's it called? Remember?
Samurai
Something about the
for the
samurai.
last century. No, I don't know. It's about the Civil War in like the 1550s.
It's sick. It's
It
really
is
cool.
fucking
We watched like
cool as
one
shit.
episode, but it's like a documentary, but they like also reenact it.
Yeah.
So it's like kind of both. Like It's like, I don't
Yeah,
know.
they have
so
like
cool.
historians on, so it's like
And they're
almost like
talking, kind of
History
explaining
Channel-y.
it. Yeah, I think History Channel.
Cool. Well, I
But-
learned like Japan, they're like super work centric.
Yeah,
Oh,
Like
yeah.
everything is work,
Mhm.
and they'll work themselves to death
absolutely.
on everything.
I heard sleeping on the job in Japan is considered a good thing because you just love work so much that you just like literally like work
Yeah,
yourself
but
into sleep.
Yeah, that's the
Like
problem.
it's not even laziness. They assume that it's because
They
you're
assume
just
because
so
you're
exhausted.
overworked. Yeah,
You're like, look at that guy. He's
Yeah.
doing it.
Mhm.
Like he's doing the fucking
that's
thing.
pretty
And I
crazy.
sometimes think if that's what Americans, like some Americans dream of, you know,
Mhm.
like you should be thankful for the job that you have, for
Mm.
what you do,
Mm.
no matter where you are, what you do.
Yeah.
And it's
I
just
think the
like,
distinction between
Nah,
a
there's some
career-
jobs that I wouldn't be too thankful for.
No, a career and a
Yeah.
job are two different things. Like only very select few, lucky few, I should say, are lucky enough to have a career where they're doing something they love day in and day out, and they're pursuing, some sort of goal that they have. Most of us are doing jobs and will
Yeah.
never have anything but a job where you do that because you want to make money so you can live and do the other things that are actually making life worth it.
Yeah, but I also wonder too if you do start doing it, like your hobby or whatever, something that you love as a job, make it your career.
Mm.
If you could still keep that love going, you know what I mean?
Sometimes
I feel
that's
like
hard.
you burn out sometimes.
Sometimes
for sure.
it depends. I think it depends on what you love, what it is specifically. Like certainly there's been those musicians that have, they've been, obviously they love music, and then, it's just kind of I don't know if it's the money aspect entering in, or the conflict with their, with their producer or whatever, or agent or whatever. Movie stars, same thing happens to them.
Mm.
And then even, the poli sci professor that didn't make it famous, has like a pretty good spot somewhere, and they just are like, fuck that, I'm gonna go sell insurance because I'll make more money and I don't even love this anymore.
Yeah.
So I think it depends. On the other hand, there's some people that never even do well in their career, but they're just like, I couldn't even like
Dream of doing
eat
something
or like
else.
breathe if I didn't do this. Like some writers like that, just like, if I stopped writing, like I would kill myself. Like
Yeah.
that's the only reason I'm alive. is
Bill
to do
Burr
this.
said something like that. He's a comedian.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
he's just like, he tried for like 2-3 years to do something else, and he's just like,
But the thing is, like, I don't think it's
fail or not, I have to do this.
I don't think it's
crazy.
uniform.
Yeah,
I don't think it's uniform though. I
No.
don't think that there's
people are different.
people are so
Sure.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do y'all have things like that? Because I don't think I've ever really had
No.
anything where I'm like,
He kind of does. I don't. That's why I'm a business major. Like, I never wanted to teach or write or heal people
Yeah.
or anything like that. I just, I'm more interested in like having a family and like that kind of
yeah,
shit.
you've
and,
always been family.
and support them. Like, that's what I want to do. And
Wow.
business
Yeah,
seems like
I-
the simple route there.
Yeah.
I feel that. I used to feel the same way, and then I sort of, kind of fell in love with politics, religion, philosophy, sort of like that, sort of the idea field. Like, and I do some writing, and I'm going to continue.
Is that your dream to do writing?
It'd be lovely. I mean, I'm gonna do it either way, right? So like,
Yeah.
I do like, I think I didn't necessarily want to do it. I just like now I just have to. And I know, like, obviously I'm not publishing anything. It's just for me to collect my thoughts and sort
Yeah.
of that thing. But and organize my brain. But yeah, I'm hoping to write some books, and I'm hoping that they are successful or whatever. But like my first job, like my first like entry level job with the business, like from the business degree aspect of it, I hope will be something doing like marketing and sales and public relations for for nonprofits and charities. I got a job offer the other day doing sort of that kind of industry, and like
Yeah.
I hope I can swing that into a policy degree. Like I want to go to policy school and sort of, because like I said, like I'm not super educated in that as much as I love it. So I sort
Yeah.
of want to fix that and like go learn how to do proper research and that kind of thing. But I have some resentment for people who just write like and just do the idea thing, and like they don't actually do anything productive. So like I do want to
Wait, what do
write like, so
what do
like
you
a
mean?
person that's like a public intellectual that they're not running anything. They're not like trying to do some sort of like specific advocacy. Like they don't have like a nonprofit. Like they're just some guy on television arguing with other guys on television. And that's like all they do.
So you don't want to do that?
I want to do both is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Like, I think if you're gonna try to be in the marketplace of ideas, as everyone likes to call it, like you all should be actively trying to, do something tangible. Do something where you can measure the results and be like, this is how many people I've helped. This is like how I put my ideas into practice, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah.
So, and I think, the way I would want to do that is, in addition to, advocating for policies I like, arguing and being skeptical of the ones I don't, I think, actually trying to, so like there's a lobbying aspect of it, and that might be the way I go with it. But I also have this like entrepreneurial thing where like I really admire people who build something, and I kind of want to do that too. And like I'm kind of in a place where like I'm not exactly sure what I want to do. I just know for sure the area, like the industry. If that makes sense.
Like you have a pretty good grasp of it, because my answer would be like, I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
Do whatever, All right. Let's see here. We talked about healthcare, so universal healthcare. What's your thoughts on universal?
Don't know.
Really?
Don't know anything about it.
It is one of those areas where like
I feel
healthcare professionals should be having this discussion. Like healthcare administrators, people that are like, in charge of hospitals, people in the pharmaceutical industry, but hopefully removed enough to where they're not just the fucking, greedy cocksuckers that just want to make like.
Yeah, don't they don't they go to different doctors and stuff, and like these pharmaceuticals? Don't they just go and try to like
sales? Yeah, farm sales.
Oh yeah, pharmaceutical reps. They're usually like really good looking women too.
And they try to go and sell shit to like doctors, so they'll buy them.
Barney Stinson, is that who told you that?
Yeah, that's where I first saw it. But I know like 3 great looking girls that are like from college that's what they do. And so now I really believe it. Like,
it's a new girl too, isn't it?
Yeah. That's what Megan Fox does in it, I think.
Yes.
Joe, will you hand me that bottle over there?
Yeah, man.
I think there needs to be a lot of reform.
That doesn't seem right. So basically, these young women were very attractive.
Yep.
Well, I guess young men too could. But
strapping young lads. Out there pushing.
Attractive people will go there and sell
drugs that don't work.
Sell drugs to doctors, because doctors usually only like prescribe, like from like
the crap they know.
Yeah. So if they can sell them these drugs, then they're gonna make more money.
Well, here's the other.
They'll feed them. They'll fucking show them. They'll have them a good time.
The other complicated thing is
that okay? I don't fucking know.
Probably not. Is that allowed? No. The other complicated thing with it though is, it's true that other countries pay way less for healthcare and for drugs in general. Like the consumer pays less, the government pays less. Everybody down the line pays less than we do.
Yeah, we're like we're like on par with like third world countries.
Pretty much, but the other thing is though, the way our system is structured at this point, 60% of all new drugs come from the United States. 60%.
Wow,
that's a lot.
That's
like in the world.
That's because we have that patent system where they can't even come up with a generic version. Effectively, if you create a drug, you get the monopoly on it for 10 years to kind of collect back your investment.
Isn't that also why the vaccine rate is going slow? Because
vaccines
like Pfizer and Moderna.
It's a little bit different. There's just a little different. It's a little different. Like it's not like a conventional drug like an Allegra or whatever. You know what I mean? Like that's like
a Tylenol.
Like, yeah. It's not. It's because it's a vaccine, and because there's also like this like everyone has like sort of this, shared interest of like, all right, let's get everybody the shot so like we can all live. Like it's a little bit. It's not the same as like, all right, I got this new breakthrough that's gonna like really help with depression. Like it's a little different. But those kind of drugs, 60% of those are all conceived here. So it's like, yes, we want to pay less, but also what's more important? Do we want people to have these new drugs, or do we want to pay less for the drugs that there are? In other countries, they do systems where the government makes that decision sort of ahead of time, like the National Health Service for Britain. They basically like sort of rate the drug with a metric called, I think it's like quality adjusted year life or something, like quality or something like that. And it basically is like, it tries to measure like how much better your life is given the introduction of the drug. like given the impacts that it has on your health and like life outcomes, and versus the price. And then if it doesn't meet a certain standard, they sort of like reject it, and then they can resubmit it at a lower price, and it sort of puts this downward pressure on the price for the consumer. But we don't have anything like that. It's actually illegal for us to have any system like that, because the pharmaceutical lobby here is like all powerful. Like, you think the NRA is powerful, dude? Like, the pharmaceutical lobby is like
think about how
scary. That's why like even Ted Cruz is like, dude, we got to do something about that. And like Bernie Sanders, like it's like they had a debate on healthcare a couple years back.
That's big pharma, right?
Right. And they had a debate a couple years back, and they were like both
that's what
just
they're
sitting up there bitching about it, and like, they're like, we need to co-sponsor a bill together. And he's like, yeah, we definitely should. And like they were arguing about the debate like the whole time, disagreeing on pretty much everything.
But then they were
the
like,
one thing they all definitely agreed on was like, oh yeah, those pharma bastards are evil.
Oh my
So it's like
the thing that brings both sides together.
Well, there's few of those things these days, but maybe that's
hardly
one.
any. Hardly
Wow.
any.
Charlie, what are you drinking? You want to tell everyone? I just wanted to.
We're both drinking Evan Williams and Coke.
Damn.
Not an ad.
Not sponsored.
Not
yeah.
sponsored.
Hopefully that might change.
Maybe one day.
That'd be sick, dude.
I like this guy. Can we bring him down?
Oh, Bucky? Yeah.
Yeah,
We were talking about him earlier.
But yeah, I'm abstaining from that question because I just have no idea.
I mean, I didn't even give you a straight answer because, like I said, like I don't think, if I know a little bit about it clearly, but like I don't know enough to do policy proposals for you. And that's kind of gonna be most of them. And I wish people could say that instead of being like, I just want people to have healthcare. And it's like, okay, how, what, like, what would you change? It's like, I don't know.
Yeah,
Like,
that
and that sort of goes back
thoughtlessness again
to what I was talking about earlier about like how you have these people that are like sort of, I want to put slogans on my Twitter. I want to meme people.
I want to feel good about what I believe.
I want to help everyone. So universal healthcare helps everyone. So what's bad about it?
Yeah, but hardly anyone wants to get into like
but no one will think hard about it for more than 2 minutes.
Well, it's like I was reading about it last night. That's the only reason why I know anything about it. And it was like, okay, if we do have it implemented, then that means that anybody could basically, like, the government will pay for it. So they said, like, I think 5% would make up most of the pay for 50%. Like, if most of the healthy people would pay for most of the unhealthy people. So like the 5% of the unhealthy people.
But that makes sense. That's kind of how
that was the complaint too with Obamacare. If you remember, people were like, this is a tax on the healthy to pay for the unhealthy.
Yeah.
And
that makes
Obama said it's not a tax. And then to get it through the Supreme Court, they sort of redefined it in the court as a tax.
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, now it's allowed.
That I remember.
Yeah,
that I remember.
That little
is because like they were like, Obama said over and over, it's not a tax. It's not a tax. It's not a tax.
They hoisted him,
and then
with a baton
when it went through the court, they were like, okay, this is only constitutional if it's a tax.
Yeah.
So then now it's a tax. But well, I think they repealed it and
they
reinstated it.
I have no idea what the fuck he went on with that.
Tore to pieces. Trump. That was one thing Trump did, and then Biden did the same thing. And like, there's sort of a dangerous precedent we're setting here. We're like, all right. We know that this thing of ours is a pendulum, where it's just like first we have a right wing and then we have a left wing.
You have your chance, then he has his chance.
The last time we got two people of the same party elected in a row,
was it Reagan and Bush?
It was Reagan and the first Bush, and before that, I don't even remember.
Didn't the first Bush only get one term?
Yes.
Yeah.
So then it's like that's the thing, like, and it's never that successful. I think this might be a one exception. I don't even think Biden will run again in 24. Kind of. I mean, it's kind of a spicy take.
No.
He'll be old as hell. I think Kamala will, though.
Yeah.
And I think
Bernie Sanders.
Round 50.
He's run a lot. He's run a lot for sure. But
who will be her VP?
To Bernie's credit, Bernie doesn't switch up, man.
AOC?
God, no. I don't even think she'll be old enough.
Oh God, I hate.
It'll be Kamala.
I do not like AOC.
It'll be Kamala, and she won't get primary.
She's some bartender from the Bronx, man.
She played Among Us with streamers. She did that.
She's
by the way.
Well, yeah, of course she did.
Because
she's real good she's real good at Twitter too. You know, I'm just not buying it. I'm just not buying it. You know.
I mean,
call me a cynical 50-year-old at heart, but I just don't.
No, I don't blame you. It's like you kind of have to. Because I couldn't really name a lot of them.
Of senators and stuff?
Yeah, I couldn't name a lot of them.
I could name a few. I can't name
a few, but I
can name like
her.
the big ones.
I know her because mainly, I mean, it's because of Twitter. You know,
No,
what I
her
mean?
political
right.
clout is they're going to be studying.
She
it.
could tweet almost anything, and she'll get like 300,000 likes. Like,
Yeah.
it's bullshit.
She's the darling of the left. She'll if she's not president.
I
at
hope
some
she
point-
is.
She's definitely gonna run. Bro.
Oh, I hate it.
I mean,
dude. I will
it'll
literally
be
join
a feat
the other
if the
campaign.
well, that's the other.
I
It's
don't
like,
care
is
who
there
it
going to be a
is.
Republican Party? Is the golden question. Are they going to live through Trump? Like what?
I don't think so.
I don't know
dude.
if anybody's paying attention.
I was hoping you'd ask if you think the Republican Party's dead, because I do. I think it is.
dude.
I think it died when he got elected.
Is the last good day?
Because like he was saying,
That's what they say.
like what you were just saying, all those things that you were calling, like laying out that he was a fascist for, almost none of those are traditional conservative or Republican ideals. At least not from when we were little, or like not John McCain, not Mitt Romney, not Reagan. Like no one
Well,
did anything like
Let's
that.
say this. In defense, because a lot of people are anti-conservatives now
Mm.
because of Trump
Yeah.
and only Trump only.
Yeah.
You're saying that's not.
That-
You don't
I-
think a true Republican is Trump.
Right. Like I was a never Trumper. Like back in 2016 when he was around, like
yeah, we didn't.
I was one of those guys like Shapiro and like, well, I won't compare myself to
Shapiro
Shapiro.
fucking voted for.
But yeah, the second time.
second time.
Yeah, but back
Which
in
is
the
wild.
day, like when he was coming around and like it was the primaries with him and Cruz and Rubio and all them, I was like this guy is just not he's not a conservative Republican in the sense that he changed like we're free trade, we're small government, we are, you know, the only real things he had in common with old school Republicanism is the immigration thing.
Sort of.
Ish, but he took it to a whole nother level with the
Well,
wall
and there's
shit.
also the aspect of like he's like demonizing them. Like these are animal like animal rapists.
That's not what
Like-
it was before.
Like,
I didn't think.
no, dude. Like Romney was
just
like,
like,
we
whoa,
just need
whoa, whoa.
sensible reform. Like,
Yeah.
we just need to think about this a little bit and you
Yeah.
know maybe put a quota on this or something, like put a cap, you know, and build some processes. Like it was that kind of like tamed, sort of sober.
the
rhetoric.
only
yeah, that's
thing- The only thing that I would say I was like that I'm against like of that old school kind of, is it neocon? Is that the right word?
sort of.
Okay,
Not
he
really.
knows that kind of crap. more
I have
than
no
do.
idea.
But
No idea.
the only thing that like I didn't love about that was like what we talked about earlier with spending, like national, like military spending.
Yes.
That's the only thing like I'm really not.
So
for
what
a
are
bunch of that.
conservative values then? What would you define them as?
This is the problem with saying
And
you're a
social
conservative.
issues. I almost forgot that. I'm not. I don't
'Cause I
think I
always think-
subscribe to any of them.
I always-
the classic thing is to say you're libertarian.
Well, there's
kind
a
of-
religious component too, right?
No, yeah,
You know, like the religious right.
yeah.
Was like
the
the-
evangelical kind of.
Yeah.
That's the crazy thing about Trump.
I
to me is-
cannot believe he got those people.
Yeah.
The evangelicals.
Yeah.
Oh,
How
that
did they
makes
swing?
sense.
This is some slimy billionaire that cheated on his wife 100 times, like probably
times
raped some people,
divorced,
and is like
9 non-disclosure
open.
agreements.
Yeah, all that shit. Like, how did he convince Bonnie that goes to church every Sunday and has for the last 45 years? And
It's the preacher. Whatever they say goes. They speak the word of God. God speaks through them.
oh,
Whatever they
dude.
say goes.
You two
That's
would
all
have
it
a
is, man.
time talking about your atheism if you are too. Oh my god.
That'll be for another one, dude.
Another
Yeah,
podcast.
you
We
could
can
do a
talk
whole
about-
nother one.
We can do all religion.
Yeah.
Because I went to the private Christian school, so like, I mean,
You know
I
the whole
just-
thing then.
even if I didn't want to,
Yeah.
I learned all about it.
Right.
Yeah,
And
that's
he-
the thing. I've been
yeah.
removed from it. We went to church, us two.
We used to go alone.
We used to
without
go
the
alone
parents.
without the mom
in
and
high
dad
school.
Mhm.
there.
What was the denomination?
Presbyterian. So we were sort of. It was a
Oh.
little bit light. A little
Yes.
bit, a little bit like there was gay marriages in my church, which
Mhm.
honestly I was proud of. Like I thought that was nice or whatever.
Yeah, that's fine.
But
I've never.
we
been
liked
that
we
way,
liked our
like that.
pastor. I still
Yeah.
like my
the
pastor.
pro life, anti-gay marriage, like no legalizing weed, like that kind of conservative. I've always been put off by that, like because you're small government, and then
Except
you're
for
like,
every area.
but I'm going to tell you
of
exactly
freedom.
how to live and what to do.
Yeah,
Like, that's
I
pretty
think.
stupid.
Yeah, I always try to follow up with freedom. Freedom
yeah,
first. sort of
right.
like the idea.
That's how my shit is.
Yeah.
Like, let people do what the fuck they want to do because they're going to do it anyway.
I know,
You know
right?
what I mean?
Sovereigntist. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
you should sovereignty first. Personal.
So you're pro gun,
Pro gun, pro marijuana.
pro abortion.
I wouldn't say pro
That's a funny way to
abortion.
phrase it.
Yeah, I wouldn't say pro abortion. Like, I think it's a sad thing when it happens, and I
Definitely.
certainly get the moral aspect of it. Like, I don't. God, I'm not here to tell you that everybody that's had an abortion is immoral. That would be an incredible claim, but like,
One that a
Well,
lot of
I
people
think it's
make.
I think it's a real hard moral question. Like, you really think are you really confident enough to tell me that you know when life begins?
Mm.
Yeah.
That's a sweeping statement, and that's a big one. But more than anything, and it's kind of like my gun argument. People are gonna do it. People are gonna have guns, and people are gonna have abortions, and so you
Mhm.
might as well have it legal, so you can have some regulation
people
about
are
it.
gonna have guns and abortions.
Yes.
Well, seriously, death and taxes, guns and abortions.
Yeah.
But if you agree with that, and I really would, you're not going to stop either one. Like, there's so many guns in circulation now. The idea that you're going to take them all back is just fucking silly. And
Yeah.
the same thing, if you think that you're going to
They're
stop people
trying.
from having abortions when they want them, you're dumb.
Yeah.
They'll just go to Mexico, they'll go wherever, or they'll do it in a very unsafe way.
Hanger.
Yeah, coat hanger, right? And that's, I don't want any of that shit. I don't
Yeah.
want an illegal arms market, and I don't want an illegal abortion market either. So both of those are unsafe as fuck.
Drugs too.
Yeah, drugs too.
People are gonna do those. I think we should legalize them all.
All of them.
Spicy take, man. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, fuck it.
I'm not
I
there
think,
yet.
Yeah.
I know.
I don't know if I can agree with you on that.
Yeah, I'm not there
but-
yet.
Look, I'm not saying
Certainly
I'm,
weed.
Yeah, I should.
No,
I should.
yeah, that's
I
an
should
easy
sort
one.
of.
Yeah.
It is the easy one. I should sort of kind of explain where I'm at with that. At least decriminalize them all, because there's also a suicide argument. Like, if you have the right to own a gun, right, you have the right to not, and if you have the right to life, you have the right to not, and if you have the right to the pursuit of happiness, then you should be the arbiter of what happiness means to you. And if it happens to be black tar heroin because your life prospects aren't lovely, to me, all the power to you. And if you're going to say freedom first, you better mean it. And I think for me, I understand, like, we shouldn't necessarily be selling heroin in a store. But I do think, so there's immigration.
So would you legalize selling it?
No, you decriminalize it in that we're not going to arrest you for having it. We're not going to even fine you for having it. The legal paternalism for me is a big thing. Like, the idea that the state should be the guy telling you what you can or shouldn't do, or like be in the business of incentivizing or decentivizing any behavior, unless it has a victim, is stupid. And you can give me that bullshit about how
I think you could
it hurts the
incentivize.
families,
I
but,
think
like,
decentivizing, like, you shouldn't. I think that the government should be careful when it punishes, but I think, like, incentivizing and let's think like tax benefits for being married or having children. Like, I think those things are reasonable.
I mean, I guess they're reasonable, but I don't really see a lot of a constitutional basis for it, and I don't really see much.
The state has an interest in the next generation, like, absolutely.
Sure, but like.
Right?
But like what? And so
Yes.
ergo, you should get $2,000 for every kid you pop out. Like, it
Well,
seems like
no,
more of a
but
pro-Catholic.
Take some taxes off
Seems like
because
more
they're
of a
paying for a
pro-Catholic
bunch of shit
All right,
for that.
to get back
kid.
to the drugs, though.
Yeah.
Sorry, they're more fun.
It's fine.
I really do think you'd cuck the cartels, right? Like all of the humanitarian problems, which is what they are in the South America.
Mm.
You'd see a huge alleviation in that because they wouldn't be the only ones peddling that shit, especially coke.
Yeah.
I mean, like that, and obviously we don't want the streets to be just overrun with overdoses and all that.
But if you
But a
don't
huge
legalize
part
the
of that
sale
stuff-
of it,
I know, and so like I think it's sort of a complicated policy thing,
Yeah.
like of like how you're gonna do this.
mhm.
But there's to me
Well, you could put a limit on the
here's
amount,
here's
right?
the three arguments. So like I don't think we have a moral or governmental justification in meddling around with this stuff. B, there's a humanitarian crisis we've ignored since the 80s that we disguise as an immigration problem because we're the ones they're shipping the drugs to.
Yeah, we're the ones doing it. You know what I mean?
Wait. Slow down, because you got to explain that more, to everybody.
Sure. Cartels in Colombia, they literally
Mexico,
they
too.
make so much money selling their stuff upriver up to us that they can buy out their governments, right? And they can make their entire countries corrupt because they're the most powerful entity there. If you cut off the head of snake and say, all right, we won't arrest you or throw you in prison for like 30 years for growing cocaine up here. It'll be like a fine or something like that.
Yeah.
Why the fuck would you pay the markups that are entailed when you have to get a cartel to bring up and all the infrastructure they have to build and all the bribes they have to pay
Mm.
to get that stuff up here? if you're growing it, kind of, or making, I should say making it, because it's not exactly a plant.
Well, you could buy those plants and then you could do it here. You know
right.
what I mean?
And what I'm saying is,
I don't know that you can grow.
it's sort of
that
like
plant
there's a
here or
sourcing
not.
thing where like the only place in the world where it's so corrupt and awful that you can do that feasibly and get it to the United States cheaply is South America.
Yeah, it's like the jungles of Brazil.
If
or
you
Colombia.
sort of change the system so we're not so freaking animalistic and aggressive about finding cocaine distributors and people who do it, like literally, if they find like cocaine residue in your purse, you're gone. You're a felon. Like you're a felon.
Yeah.
So like if you stop that and you sort of, like I said, the policy proposal is a little bit complicated. You're gonna have some nuance there because you don't want people selling it. Like you don't want to tie profit to heroin. All right, that's a bad idea. But it's there either way. And so now the people making it are bloodthirsty gangsters who also do sex trafficking and bribe government officials and foster a sort of an anarcho-fascism where it's like it's an anarchy down there run by gangsters who are raping, killing, murdering, and the reason they're able to operate is because we have a war on drugs up here. So if you end that war on drugs, you get a lot of alleviation. And the weed is like the tip of the fucking iceberg. But like I'm convinced that like you really can do a lot of good if you really start to be smart and sort of a grown up about the fact that people do drugs.
Well,
right? And that
I think if you get weed out of there, I think
weed would help.
Weed
would help in and of itself.
Those cartels, especially in like Mexico, they can grow hella weed in Mexico and just send it on up. I think that's, obviously.
Is that why we need a wall?
I wouldn't go there. I think that's why, black tar, heroin, and coke, that stuff gets here. But if you're going to legalize something for use, people are going to sell it here. But I think if you legalize selling it, which I would not recommend for cocaine or heroin, but I would recommend for weed, you legalize weed for sale here, zero. The cartel has no business anymore. No one's going to want... If you can buy safe weed that is not fucked for probably cheaper because they don't have to pay the logistical costs to get it here, they're just going to buy that. They're just going to go in the store, buy the legal shit that they can be like, here's my receipt, officer, rather than buy the shit that probably would still be illegal.
Right. And I think you're probably right. The only thing is, I think you can go... you're so right on that, actually. But I think you can... There's a way for us to go a bit further and further actually
Was the question about drugs, or did we just go here?
The what?
What was the question?
What was the question?
No, I just asked 3 questions to begin with. I said abortion.
Right.
And then I said,
we talked about...
did we talk about abortion?
Guns.
Oh, right, yeah,
guns.
we did.
we talked about guns, and then we got into drugs.
Well, and I think, like I said...
I didn't have a question about drugs. You just said...
Right.
Y'all just
we just bring it up.
We all brought up drugs. I think all drugs should be...
Oh, yeah, he said that.
And
we should talk about
that.
There.
But you're not suggesting that we sell.
No.
Like what you're saying, you're not suggesting that we go to the street.
We shouldn't be taxing heroin and
I can't go up to the fucking
market. Yeah.
I can't go to Kroger and buy heroin.
No, definitely wouldn't be good.
No.
But I do think we should just be we should be grown-ups about it. And I really do. One of the big things I want to go to policy school about is to see what maybe I could find out about this kind of thing and actually have more of an intelligent way of putting this. But I think you see sort of the gist of what I'm saying in terms of how much good we could do for the people of South America, how much, how much less money we'd spend on prisons, and police, and the DEA could be dissolved. Like there's a lot of different...
You could knock out like 3 bullets. You can knock out 3 birds with one stone.
Yeah. Why do you think they haven't done anything, though?
I don't know how.
Do you have any clue?
I don't know how. Probably lobbying and money, though.
Is it just because of a morality thing? Like, it's just
because you get.
I think part of it is
you get people on TV
literal
going
age. Like, I think by the time that's like our generation is pretty much in control and the baby boomers have moved aside, no one will have seen
the
those
extras.
Right.
Yeah.
No one will have seen those commercials where the guy smokes weed and then he like grows hair out of his hands and like has a heart attack.
This is your brain.
Reefer madness.
Yeah. Like my parents have a stigma about weed, even though they smoked it in the 70s. Like they still are like, oh well, that shit now is so.
Yeah,
fucked.
that's what I always hear. Is
yeah,
like,
yeah.
the stuff we did is
no,
so
it
different.
isn't.
It's like,
No, it is. Well, it probably is stronger, but like
they fucking
you just
drink-
had shitty weed, like whatever.
Coke back then had cocaine in it, bro.
Yeah,
They were just sipping on that since they were like 8 years old. What the fuck are they talking about?
That's true.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I think when they're all gone, like, there's gonna be no more like morality question about weed. Like, it's
I think
yeah.
questions of
It's just like
morality
having a
should,
drink,
if
man.
possible, not be handled by the state.
yeah,
Okay, that's like a fundamental thing, I think.
What question or what age do you think you just stop changing?
Oh, never. Yeah,
Really? Because I feel like that's what everyone says, but there is sort of like, look at boomers. A lot of them, not all of them.
I see what you're saying.
A lot of them,
I
they're
see what
just
you're
like,
saying.
well, that's just the way things are right now.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
they're not gonna change their mind. Like, what age do you think that
I think
is?
it depends on the person.
I think, but
I
I
think
would,
so
I
too,
would push
but-
back a bit and say like
I think people change, but only
people.
certain
They
things.
say people get more right wing. You know that's
Yeah.
what they typically
Yeah,
say.
yeah.
It's like the long and awkward shuffle to the right. That's what they say. Like about like how you
Awkward.
go
I like
from
awkward. There.
awkward's a
That's a
very
key part of that.
yeah operant word.
We all
there.
have gone more liberal then, right?
Well, we're young.
but that's what they say
We're
too.
22.
Yeah.
You know, ask me again at 50 too, and we'll come back on heavily spiced and
Hell yeah. We'll probably get like 200 subscribers then.
Probably.
Oh my god.
200,000, Jet.
no, and
Oh my
you know,
god.
I know for a
But-
fact, and I understand sort
amazing.
of why
It'd be
that
great.
happens. I think you get sort of more skeptical.
We'll get canceled if that happens for something we said, I'm sure.
Yes.
No, we're gonna have you back on at 50. And
Yes.
then y'all are just gonna go totally 180 on everything that we said.
Absolutely.
Which is great, which is what you should do. That should be
Yeah.
totally fine and
Well,
acceptable.
Yeah, you get. There's no shame in changing your
But
mind.
I
feel
do
like-
understand what you mean in that
Yeah, yeah,
like you get set sort of, and like you
Yeah.
have your moral principles, and in some way they still stay. But sometimes I think, you know, you don't even change your mind; it changes you.
Yeah.
That kind of thing, where like you have these principles, and then I do think they get set somewhere between 20 and 30 for most people.
Yeah.
For most people that are thinking about this stuff, a lot of people write off like ideas and like anything deeper than the weather. Like
Or the person they like, or their job.
yeah, they just get into
and-
whatever they're doing,
Yeah.
whatever's in front of them, and that's
Mhm.
great. Like that's good. Like they should do that. But like for people that are really like thinking about this stuff hard, and like you know whatever they're interested in, I think you do get set between 20 and 30, and sort
Yeah.
of like your principles stay the same. Like you don't like these things, you do like these things, and sort of sometimes the world changes around you, like where you know the people, the arguments being made. Like I'm thinking about this politically, obviously, but like I'm thinking of like some of my heroes from like the 19th century, or from the 20th century rather, like that grew up being, you know, wanting to be like Marxist revolutionaries, and then they sort of were like in that ilk defending like the war in Iraq because they felt as though Saddam was a fascist Hitler type, and so they felt like they had a moral obligation, you know, to defend dismantling him even if it looked imperialist or something like that.
Yeah.
And so like it's one of those things where like the principle actually arguably never changed, but like the opinion did. Obviously, like this is a person that I'm thinking of, Christopher Hitchens, who's a hero of mine. He was a Trotskyist that went on firing line with William F. Buckley and argued passionately about the war in Vietnam. Like, this guy's a Marxist, right? And later in life, he was arguing in favor of the Iraq War. And it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think he really changed sides. I mean, he still thought of himself as a sort of a lefty. But he was the circumstances of the world just changed to where he felt as though the party left him behind. And I kind of feel this way about the right. I still
Yeah,
feel
that's
like I'm
what
a
I was
guy
saying.
in the right. I still feel like I look at the world like a guy from the right wing, sort of skeptical of someone selling me with that horrible glint in their eyes that they know for me what's better.
Yeah.
You know, they
Yeah.
know what's better for me, and that if only I'll just believe them, that they'll deliver me this utopia. Like I sort of always look at it that way,
Talking
but
about
like
religion or conservatism.
I'm talking about religion, and I was thinking about communism actually.
But like
You
I-
know, the idea that like we
Yeah.
just if we'd only revolt, then
Yeah.
you know we'd have heaven and earth.
I think the problem is when you find your identity in that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which isn't bad, sort of say. But if you're just
It's not
like,
great.
I am,
It's not
I
great.
am, well, to say politics, like Democrat or Republican, that's who I am. But even like stupid stuff,
You
like
wanna
the music that
avoid-
you listen to and stuff
Mhm.
like that.
You want to avoid becoming a person like this is my personality, and
Yes.
it's like a word. Like you want to be deeper than that, or you should want to be deeper. Than
like
that.
you
Be
said,
nuance, right?
everything's society will change
Mhm.
around you, but
Mhm.
you don't necessarily have to change.
Right.
Mhm.
But Republican Party, as in the last 4 years, has definitely changed.
Mm-hmm.
And you will still describe yourself as a Republican, but now what Republican means 4 years ago to what it means now is just completely
different.
different.
Mhm.
So then,
And you
what
fall out
are
of it.
you?
You fall out of it. Well,
Yeah.
you're politically castrated, is what happened.
Mm.
You're a eunuch. You got nothing. There's a famous I forget his name. He's a gun rights activist, but he's also a conservationist.
Mm-hmm.
He's a hunter.
Was it
right?
Ted Nugent?
I think it might be Ranella actually. Where he's
Steven?
like, I think it's Ranella. Where he's like,
Steven
I
Ranella?
want like the Republican Party is selling away public lands for profit.
Was it Joe Rogan?
No, Rogan was talking about some guy. What do you care?
Oh,
He was talking
Took him
about
to
some,
get it right.
and so like the right wing selling away this public land. So like I can't be for that because like we need to conserve it and we don't want Walmarts everywhere. Like we need somewhere to hunt. And then the left wing's trying to obviously buy his guns back, so he can't be for them either. He's like, who the fuck do I vote for?
Mhm.
And I think
Yeah.
anybody really paying close attention or with like a vital interest like that is always gonna be just fucked. And so like you said at the beginning, you sort of view like saying you're sort of a centrist or like you can see both sides as like sort of a cop out. And I do understand what you mean when you say that.
Yeah.
But I also think,
it's important to.
yeah, it's like
well, this isn't.
they both have something to sell. And honestly,
Yeah.
both of what they're selling is important.
Mm.
We do need to change sometimes. We do need to sort of update our old systems and throw out bad ideas.
But
And
you
then,
can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. at the
yeah,
same
and you
time.
need to. You also need to conserve sort of some of what keeps you sane and what keeps the society moving. And
Yeah.
you sort of need to look at sometimes look at those people with that terrible glint in their eye and say, "Fuck off, man. We don't
Fuck
need
you."
to change this."
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Fuck you,
working well.
AOC.
Yeah, you're changing shit to change it.
Sure. Yeah. No. Absolutely.
No.
And you think you know better than all these
Yeah.
other people, and you
And so
might
I
not.
think-
Yeah, that's a bad
There's a lot
place.
of arrogance.
I
in
think it's
that.
sort of.
Yeah.
It's. I don't know if it's a catch-22 so much as it is like. You do sort of have to walk a tightrope and sort of jump back and forth, depending on like I have this whole art
I
like this
get
whole
that.
podcast.
It's not a sports team.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
But that's what I feel like people treat
yeah,
politics as
yeah. Like
in like
"Oh,
America.
I'm on this team.
Yeah.
Like did we win? Like did our guy
Yeah.
get in there?
Joe Rogan has a bit on that too.
Yeah, and that's what
Who
I
is
was
this
thinking.
we?
Of.
What
Yeah.
are you
What is
fucking?
this
Are
we
you a
shit?
Falcons fan? Are you a Republican fan? Like
Yeah,
I think so, like I just don't understand why people. I don't know. I just don't understand.
I
But
think-
then again, I don't watch sports like you said. So
right.
Mm.
that sort of mentality just doesn't even fit with me.
Mm.
And that's a good thing. That's always
I
the
don't
sign of
wanna,
someone
yeah.
who who's not going to be convinced
Well,
to
then
sell
you just
out.
have a nuanced opinion, right?
Well, and those are the kind of people that make
Yeah.
it their personality.
Yeah.
Like if the first thing you describe yourself as is a Braves fan, well, you don't have very much I want to hear about then, do you? You're not exactly someone I want to speak with. You know,
Yeah.
you get what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
unless
Well,
I'm
not
a
even
fucking
that.
huge
They're
Braves
just
fan.
wearing a Braves hat,
Right.
and then all of a sudden,
And
you
it's-
already have a fixed view.
Mm.
You know
well,
what I'm
and
saying?
I know pretty much all I need to know about you.
Yeah, especially
You can tell me tons
ideologically.
of cool stats, and like if I want to know anything about the Braves, I'll come
But
consult you.
But it's not even that. It's like you base a lot of their opinions
Mm.
and a lot of their emotions off that too.
Mm.
It's just weird to think of, but you're not even aware of it.
Oh yeah, no.
You're just
That's-
everything passing it by. Your brain is already functioning it as it is.
Mhm.
And there's the same thing happens with
You're
ideological
compartmentalizing
possession
them.
too,
Mhm.
where
So
like
you-
where if you really Solzhenitsyn said ideas have you. You don't have ideas. Ideas have you. And like the idea is like you can sort of the same way with a Braves fan, and that's why I liked Joe Rogan's bit on how it's not a team sport. It's like, someone that says they're a communist, right? They're like really is like into theory and like always reading Marx and Lenin and Trotsky and these guys, like, and it's their whole personality. Like they're not thinking, and you can reliably predict what they're gonna say. They honestly, it's more or less like they have a crank in their head, and you sort of can crank it however you want. And they're just gonna repeat shit that
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
and you know it's coming because it's just
Right.
it's pre-described.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
they're
Same
reading
Same thing happens with
reading
religious,
out of a
like super
book.
religious
Yeah.
people.
Yes.
Same exact thing, and it's like, I think you really. The one thing that I really am always going to try to do is try to think for myself, and that's why I think it's important to sort of try to see the good things in both sides, and like, sort of say when you think they're right and say when you think they are, and like
Yeah.
not, and also be able to look at both of them and be like they're both full of shit because they are.
Yeah. But I think that's also the problem with why people when they don't talk about it, that's when they get inside those circles.
Mm.
Like when people don't talk about religion, well, they only talk about religion to all these other people in the congregation
In the
that
damn
believe
church, yeah.
the exact same thing that they believe.
Yeah, it's an echo
Silos.
chamber.
I don't talk about politics, but I only listen to Steven Crowder.
Right.
And I'm only talking to people who listen to that. Then it's
Yeah.
like, well, then you're just going to think that what he says is right.
And then you're gonna hear somebody on the left say something, and you're gonna be like, "Well, I've never ever heard that opinion at all," or all I've heard is the straw man of that opinion.
Yeah.
And so then you're
And
gonna try and
nothing-
argue
yeah.
the straw man, and be like, "No, that's not what I'm saying," and then you're gonna look stupid as fuck.
Yeah. I think it's just important not to find yourself inside those. Because
Mhm.
even though, like, I don't, just keep talking to people. Like, I don't think it should be some social stigma
Yeah,
around it.
That's one thing we got to get over.
Because you can have intelligent conversations like this. Because I'm not conservative at all.
yeah.
And I'm fine with talking to you guys about stuff.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And I think it's just a matter of like a
It's
society
fucking
progressing.
critical. Like
Yeah,
it's
no,
really important
Yeah,
now.
I agree.
Because like this is how you start to see like this is how our brains work, right? And like honestly, me and him have not agreed on much tonight.
What do y'all? Okay, I mean, what's the biggest thing y'all disagree with on politics? Then, would you say?
The government expenditure probably. Like I really want to see like obviously I want to see some sweeping changes, and I think he's temperamentally skeptical. Of that.
Yeah,
Like I want to
there's
see
stuff that he can like early childhood education. Yeah, there's pretty
because
solid.
there's good data on that.
There's pretty good data that like
That's worth it.
people that are not kids that are not socialized well from the ages of like 2 to 4
0 to 2.
are 0 to 2. Okay, are fucked like forever. Like antisocial
catch up.
disorder,
Mm-hmm.
anxiety happens. Those kind of mental disorders.
If you add low socioeconomic status to that,
That's fucked.
it's like where all crime comes from.
Yeah.
Like you could literally have, if you would do a program like that, you would see some of the most sweeping like changes in where crime is and the magnitude of crime, because you'd be taking care of kids, which they don't get taken care of now because they aren't given resources, or like their parents aren't given resources,
Right.
And like I want to see
other shit though. Like I'm for like, but I'm consistent. Like I'm for cutting military spending too. But I'm just not convinced that the government spends money efficiently almost ever. And like, so
this is fair, but this is
whenever
also
anyone's like, let's spend some damn money, I'm like,
hold on, yeah,
and I'm also a little bit.
Are
more,
you sure we're not just burning it? Because that's what it looks like to me.
yeah.
I'm a little bit more.
We'll just give more stimulus checks.
Exactly.
Right.
We'll just print more.
I'm a little bit more
Good
open to the
God.
socialist like vibe than Charlie is too.
Oh, I'm closed.
Like Charlie's like, oh fuck that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I go to all the YDSA meetings and like talk to the guys about. I say guys because it mostly is guys, but which is weird. I would think it would be a pretty diverse group. It's a bunch of white dudes. I love them though, and I mean, there's some people that listen to that like are like more diverse and whatnot, but like really like those guys, really like the talks that we have, and they really do kind of open my eyes up to like theory. And it's like it's fun reading that stuff, even if you don't necessarily agree with it, because it is a different perspective. And obviously, I really am sort of a junkie about this stuff. So,
All right, let's get to the last few questions.
Sorry, yeah, no, that was a long one.
No, it's fine. It's just like these things are about to die.
Yeah,
That's the only problem. I want to talk forever. It's pretty interesting.
well, flattered.
Oh, this one's pretty easy. Capital punishment.
Oh, death penalty.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm pretty. Yeah, state shouldn't be murdering folks.
Here's the deal.
Should the government be allowed? Yeah.
Here's the
murder.
deal. Some people need to be put in the ground. The
That's
bad
true.
part is there's so many appeals and stuff that it isn't financially worth it, which is pretty ridiculous. That it's more cost effective to keep
But you
someone in
understand
prison
why
for the
that's
rest
there,
of their
though,
life
right?
than, well, yeah.
How so? How is it more cost effective?
There's studies done. I didn't used to believe that shit, but apparently, most of the time, depending on when they get on, life in prison or put to death, the amount of appeal processes and the cost of that, because they're not making money, so
Yeah.
all of the cost of all of that, all of
Is on
those
the
law is on the state.
which is
so
us.
it's actually
Which is taxpayers.
Mhm, right. So it's actually a little bit cheaper to have them stay in prison forever than go through like the extra appeal cases that it would take to put somebody to death.
So then,
But
why,
sometimes they don't. Sometimes they don't go through all those appeal processes.
some they just say fuck them.
Yeah, right. Sometimes
Yeah.
they're just like, yeah, okay, you're right. You got me. I did kill all those people. But like, bro, I don't think Dylan Roof should be walking around, even in jail. Like, I just don't. And
Yeah.
Adam Lanza, like all those motherfuckers, like, no, they need to be dead, like killed.
I understand.
Preferably, and really and truly, this might be a little spicy, but
Keep it, dude.
lethal injection is a little bit too nice for them too. You know what I
Wow,
mean? Give
yeah.
them a chair. Like, what does it matter?
Fry
Yeah.
them,
Fry them. Fuck them.
dude.
Yeah.
It's
I
a-
mean, they did awful things.
Right.
Sure.
Absolutely. You know,
I definitely understand where you're coming from with that because I used to feel the same way. But I have like, there's the state aspect, and the reason it is so expensive to kill them is because you want to make sure that you're not killing someone that's like innocent.
Sure. I get that.
And like,
I'm not for like getting rid of the appeal processes.
right,
You know, I'm okay with.
it costing that much. I thought you were just saying you weren't.
I'm not saying I wasn't okay with that. I'm just saying I think both of the
It's worth
costs
knowing,
are
sure.
astronomical. Like keeping someone in jail for 30 years.
Well, this is why we need
and
to
paying
think about
for all
jail
of it.
differently. I mean, it's entirely punitive. The recidivism rate's ass. Everyone that goes to jail goes back pretty much. Like literally, you can say that and be statistically pretty safe.
Pretty right
Like
on.
I'm pretty correct in saying that. Almost everybody that goes to jail goes back
Jeez.
because it's so shitty.
Mhm.
And once you get out, you have no skills because they don't teach you anything there.
Mhm.
And like also, life doesn't make sense. It's sort of like a military thing where like you get out and you're like, what the fuck? I learned all these life skills in prison that are only applicable in prison. Like
Yeah.
I don't know who's my like group. And also it's kind of crazy how like
How racist it is.
yeah, man.
Yeah.
Like if you ever watched the
What's the movie with Jamie Lannister?
no, not the what the fuck?
You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
No,
Yeah,
no,
I know
no.
what
The
you're talking about.
movie.
Yeah.
He has a movie.
I don't know the movie.
He's like this regular dude, kills someone in a car accident when he's like a little bit drunk, goes to jail for vehicular manslaughter, becomes the leader of the Aryan Brotherhood in it. It's
that
pretty
makes
cool.
sense.
I think it's
Whoa.
called Shot Caller.
That fucking happens. Like
Yeah,
that's literally
yeah.
what prison does.
Was
Yeah.
this pre Game of Thrones? I'm just curious.
No, it's post.
A lot
Okay.
of times it just takes
I
young
think-
kids that screwed
think
up
so.
a little
2011.
Yeah.
and it puts
Yeah.
them in a
Game of
scenario.
Thrones.
It puts them in a scenario where they're just like they're in a fucking criminal breeding ground.
Mhm.
Like
So,
like
yeah.
where like you literally can't even like get by without like joining up.
Yeah.
Like you can't even like if you're a white guy, you're with the Aryan Brotherhood's calling the shots for you, and they handle conflict internally.
Yeah.
And not to mention the guards are fucking, for the most part, brutal.
Mhm,
Brutal to these
mhm,
guys.
mhm.
But
But that's like, you know, I guess if we've never been in jail. This is all speculation.
no,
but
there's fucking that show. What's that show called?
not Scared Straight, but I know 30 Days Inside.
30 Days Inside
or whatever it is,
yeah,
60 days inside.
Where like it's like
I don't know how real that
It
shit
could
is.
be
That's what I'm
totally
saying.
fake.
Like if it's a show like
it
that,
could be
I don't know,
totally
but-
fake. It could be totally fake. But
Because most
I don't
people
know
don't
though.
go
The
to
shit
jail.
they say sounds like something I would expect. Like,
Well, most of our only knowledge from jail comes from movies and stuff. so
yeah, that's true.
I don't know.
It's
This
hard to
is
say
fair.
what it's like, you know. That's for sure.
I know it's probably not fun.
Yeah.
And I know whatever they're doing isn't working.
When
Right?
y'all go to jail, come back and tell me how it was.
Okay,
Okay.
we'll do it.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
It'll be for research.
Yeah, I'm against capital punishment.
Against it, I get
Yeah.
it.
I just don't think the government. I mean,
Do you want the state in the business of murder?
yeah, I just
Like-
don't know if I can
but they
give
don't-
government that power.
They just don't do it.
so to
very
say.
much. It's kind of my other shit. Like, it's pretty rare.
Yeah,
Safe, legal, and rare? Is that?
Yeah, safe, legal, and rare.
I just always thought this
abortion.
question was interesting.
Yeah, it is an interesting one.
All right, let's do the last question.
My mind's not super.
These were
made
good
up about
questions.
that.
I like
Yeah.
these.
Thanks.
This
I
got
didn't get
us-
to them all of them, but I just felt like they were all
Get the big ones. Yeah,
They were the big ones,
Black Lives Matter.
of course.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, and
what
this,
do you? Okay,
this is right on par.
specifically.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Okay. Well,
The
first
riots.
off, like those slogans,
Yeah, I was about to say.
like Black Lives Matter. Well, yeah, duh, of
Yeah.
course. I don't like slogans like that. Like pro life. Like they don't want people to die. Like the
Yeah.
people that are against you.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like I don't like those things where it's like leading the witness. And it's like if you're against this, then
you can't boil policy to 3 words.
Yeah.
Like
I just don't like it because it seems like one of those things that just is like on a crappy Target T-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
bumper sticker politics.
Yeah.
Yeah,
See,
bro.
I just don't really like stuff like that where it just seems like it'll become like the sports thing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But like
I'm
I do
just
think
against that hive mind.
yeah, like you ever see those signs in yards that say, "In this house we believe Black Lives Matter. Science is real."
Yeah.
Like,
no, I'm not. Fuck that. Science is fake.
love is
fake news.
love.
Yeah.
Like all,
Live, laugh,
all,
love.
Yeah, all
Live,
of
laugh,
that
love.
shit, like just all on one side, and you're just like, yeah, all right. So you're a Falcons fan. Like you're. This is sports.
I think
to
the
you.
problem with that is it just loses its value. Because I'm for Black Lives Matter, and it obviously, I mean, because who's going to be against Black Lives unless you're just a
Right.
fucking racist?
Yeah,
which
exactly.
fuck you anyways.
Yeah.
But like when you say something like that so much, to me it just loses a lot of its like
Sure.
value towards it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, it loses punch. That's one thing. The trade off though is it gets you a huge following, and everybody can put it in their, like I said, Instagram bios.
Yeah.
But then
It works.
Well,
I don't
it
like the
cheapens
way,
it.
yeah.
Obviously, it cheapens it. It makes it fast food. That's why I talk about fast food politics and how
Yeah.
I talk about it. Look, most of the policy proposals are pretty solid, to an extent.
Yeah, I'm for
like-
criminal justice reform, 100%.
But the problem is, you
Yeah.
do slogans like defund the police, right?
Yeah, that's
And it's
Blue
like,
lives.
nobody understands what that really means. Is like, let's be smart about this. Let's not have police departments with budgets of like $1 billion because
yeah.
they just don't need that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like, they don't need that much money. They don't need tanks.
Yeah, they don't need all the paramilitary shit that we don't use anymore. Like that's ridiculous.
It's fucking ridiculous. It's fucking ridiculous. And so like, you could not even say that stuff. You could not say defund the police and probably get the policies through. But you say ACAB and defund the police
Yeah.
because you're angry, and it's understandable that you're angry because you have every right to be. But like, the problem is like you're getting in the way of your policy for the sake of like trying to ruffle the feathers of people who maybe would be on your side if you would just like be like, all right, no, we need to fix these fucking problems. And I also don't want to stand in judgment of like temper your anger, because it's like, I don't understand. What the fuck do I know? But like,
Yeah.
I do think like, like I was just talking
If you
about,
want
like,
people to
we need to
listen to
rethink
you,
prisons
yeah.
top to bottom to top. Like we need to be like, really remodel our prison systems entirely off of like shit they're doing in Europe with the rehab. Like it's a lot more like rehab than it is a prison, right? Where they're teaching you a skill all the while. And like, we don't like that because we think you should be punishing people that are in prison. But the reality of it is, most people are in jail for drug crimes. Again, we should end the war on drugs.
Yeah.
Just say it again for
That was
say
that
it
was
again
when
for
I
the people
said,
in the
like,
back. Like
when I said you could knock out 3 birds with 1 stone by legalizing pot, like you can fix a lot of racial problems because like overwhelmingly disproportionately the amount of people arrested for marijuana and other drugs is black people.
Yeah.
And so you get, not only if you decriminalize that, that's less people being pulled off the street. If you do the right thing and take those people out of jail, and not stupidly, right? Give them, don't just be like, okay, now you're free, like, see you later. Like, incorporate it with either, you said, some training programs and sort of skills, or, maybe
Yeah.
even stimulus, that kind of thing, programs in general to get them
That's a good one.
employment.
UBI.
But I think if you don't have cops patrolling for drug crimes and stuff, like low income neighborhoods,
cut their budget too.
yeah, you can cut their budget. You can get less people in jail, which will reduce that incredible cost, and chip away the what do they call it? The prison industrial complex.
Yeah, you should
Mhm.
we should dismantle that. And
Yeah.
that's the other thing. Like, dismantling the prison industrial complex probably would poll at 99%.
Yeah,
Like, who
absolutely.
the fuck wants prison and profit tied together?
Yeah, no way.
I don't think any even I don't fucking think Trump wants that shit.
Yeah,
well, he
exactly.
might, but
Only
I don't
We'll
think
see in
his-
2024.
sure.
Yeah.
I don't even think his most ardent defenders and supporters though would say like, we.
I
love
don't even
that
think
shit.
they know.
They
I just
don't
think
know.
whatever he says.
Yeah,
that's right.
that's-
Yeah. That's what I was thinking.
It's,
Yes,
again,
sir.
sports.
Yes,
It's
sir.
fucking Sports.
It is a cult of personality that way, isn't it?
Mhm.
But
I mean, maybe I'm wrong though too.
You're not.
No, you're not. But to get back to the defund the police thing, like I really do think like steps and strides need to be made there. Like we
Mhm.
have to do stuff there.
Yeah.
That's like a burning domestic issue for
When
like,
your
for almost
society
any-
is burning cities down over something, you might want to listen.
Listen.
to them.
Yeah.
Listen to them, like, and we haven't.
I'm
and,
not
like,
for that though. Like, obviously,
for the violent protests.
Yeah.
Like,
'Cause that
are
was-
you
yeah.
also against like death? Like,
Yeah,
like come on,
fair.
like nobody wants to see cities burning. Well,
Yeah.
some people do, but
Well, I was gonna tie that in with like the Capitol riots.
Yeah. Oh no, that shit's fucked too. Like when that was happening, we went in this group chat. We were in a couple of like college Republicans group chat, and there was like dudes kind of like being like, "This is Antifa, probably, right?" And like kind of trying to rationalize it. And I'm like, bro, look at these people. They're so clearly Trump supporters, like in every sense of the word. These are people that believe the shit that has been coming out of their fucking mouths for months now about how this election was fake. It's the shit you have all been saying. And like, if we're conservatives, there's no part of us that can shit on the BLM riots in the summer, right? And then turn around and storm our own Capitol
Yeah.
and say Blue
Well, and
Lives
this is
Matter
another-
and then kill like 5 cops. Like,
did you
fuck
see
y'all?
Yeah.
one of the most
We
like,
lost that shit forever. We lost that argument forever.
Yep.
I shouldn't say
One of
that.
the most
But the
noteworthy
Republicans lost that argument forever in that one day.
one of the most noteworthy things about that was if you contrast what Trump said to those folks
Mm-hmm.
and what he said to the Black Lives Matter, like
Yeah,
about the
yeah,
Black Lives Matter protest.
exactly.
Like he said when the looting starts, the shooting starts.
Okay, well, what about the storming of our government
He
building
said,
to stop a
"We
constitutional
love you.
process?
Yeah.
You're very special."
Yeah,
Like-
you're
like-
very special. He literally said that. I was like, is he talking to his children? Like, is he going to smooch him on the cheek?
And
Like,
it's like,
Yeah.
and like his supporters are the people that are like, white privilege isn't real. And it's like, oh, is it not? Like, is it not real? Black Lives Matter. When the looting starts, the shooting starts. When it's like literally
all white people. There's
Mar-
like
and then,
5
like,
non-black
the-
people or not
and
white
then
people
marching on the Capitol and storming like government
there. Stopping
building.
a constitutional
No, we love
certificate-
you. You're very special. Like what the like
Yeah,
that's like the start. It was like the starkest shit for me ever because I remembered when he said all that stuff about the Black Lives Matter protests, and it's the crazy thing is, and it's just as true on the left in some ways and in some areas. It's like the tone deafness that people have about that sort of hypocrisy, and it's like you had folks like Tommy Lahren and Crowder saying things like, "Oh, these leftists now all of a sudden they care about violent protests."
Oh, get the fuck out.
Yeah,
of here,
and
man.
then on the other hand,
Get the fuck out.
you had leftists that were saying like, "Oh, now you want to excuse violent protests."
Yeah, exactly.
And it was like, "Well, you did, right?"
How about
and
no
you did.
one? How about nobody's okay? That was where I was at. I was like, no, they shouldn't be burning cities, and you shouldn't be storming the Capitol. Like,
Yeah.
but two things can be true at once. You know.
Well, that's where I think emotions, like we said in the very beginning,
Mhm.
to tie it all in, that's when emotions sort of persuade what you think. And most people would say that they don't. They don't think emotionally, and they don't want to think things through. Like they just, if they're angry, then you're wrong. That's where it falls down. It's not even a right or wrong morality. It's just like if I'm angry and upset, then obviously it's wrong.
Yeah.
But that's not necessarily the case.
Well, and I do
Well, they
want
also
to. I
think
want to
Their level of anger means that that's how right they are.
I do
Yeah.
want to. I
Look
want to
how
make
mad
one
I
note,
am.
though.
I must be
I
right.
think it's the thing is like passion too.
Yeah, right.
More.
Well,
Well,
and-
they would derive it towards.
But the Black Lives Matter protests, I thought, definitely had a lot more cause than the January 6th folks.
Oh, absolutely. Well,
Like,
they were
so I
just
think
fucking
that's a distinction
wrong.
that
Yes.
has to be made too.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, especially because I was the one saying like, there's like this tone deaf aspect of both sides, and like it's true, but like they were not equivalent. Like the people
Mhm.
that were in the streets after murders that were caught on footage are like have way more cause to be out there than folks who just believed in random conspiracy theories propagated again by fucking Breitbart and
well,
Trump.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Black Lives Matter was fueled by the death
Yeah, deaths. Literally
Was it
deaths.
deaths?
Not
of people,
and they were like,
of American citizens
And
by
six-
law enforcement.
Yeah,
and then
right,
the Capitol
exactly.
riots were because this guy lost an election.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
it's
just-
scary
put it in
as fuck.
perspective,
It's
just
so
like-
scary. I especially as someone who follows politics, like
You'll still see people on Facebook and shit that are like,
Trump Jr. is still tweeting like talking like making little memes about like
how
how
they,
things shot up like Biden's election votes at 2 a.m. It's getting like it gets
Yeah.
like 90,000 retweets, and you're just like, oh fuck, they're still here. I mean, he went to CPAC.
Yeah,
I
man.
thought he was done. I honest to God was like, all right,
I was
Mitch
thinking,
McConnell's like more or less condemned to this
yeah, Mitch
dude.
McConnell. Was
It's
like,
gonna be an
"Fuck you."
establishment
Yeah, no, it seemed like he was
takeover.
like, yeah,
Thank
It's going to be an
God
establishment
somebody said it.
takeover. They're
Yeah.
going to save the party. It's going to be stupid and it's going to be weakened, but they'll come back at some point with some young star that's going to be
I want to know
desirable.
why they didn't do anything to him.
I would love to know too.
Because there's got to be some.
Well,
I don't think it's
They
like,
didn't do anything to who?
I think they think
Like impeached wise?
Yeah, I thought that was
mean,
it. I thought there was gonna be like, yeah, fuck this guy, he's not running again.
Well, here's the thing.
that's what
They
I would've
wanted to, but I think they knew. The fact of the matter is, he took the people of the Republican Party before he took the establishment.
Yeah.
They love him.
His
They don't
base
not
would be
love
mad,
him now.
yeah.
They love him still. They're not convinced. And the thing is,
I don't
if
get
you
that.
look, Marjorie
These
Taylor
fuckers-
Greene, that crazy QAnon lady from Georgia,
Oh god.
for her when they voted to impeach her, she got less blowback, or like, what am I trying to say here? The Republican Liz Cheney voted to impeach Donald Trump. Okay.
Mhm.
Marjorie Taylor Greene is obviously like a Trumper, like the Trumpiest of all the Trumps.
Mhm.
Well, she wore a mask that said censored on the fucking
Liz Cheney
floor of the House of
Liz
Representatives.
Cheney, both in the polling numbers of the public
God.
and the
Such a
Republican
joke.
votes, she got way more Republican votes for her impeachment than Marjorie Taylor Greene did. Meaning, for the Republican establishment, the people in power, and the people that vote for those people and keep them in power, the base, both have more contempt for people who are against Trump than those who are literally like just straight bigots and conspiracy theorists, like in a
She
bad
was like-
way, not the John way, the
Yeah.
crazy fucking ones.
No, they kind of like go up to school shooting victims and say like, "Why did you lie about that?"
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
like
Yeah.
that was what she was
like
doing.
just the most vile kind of
Fucking
that, Alex
bitch.
Jones, but on steroids. And it's like, oh no, we have like a real problem here, and I'm worried about democracy as a concept. Clearly, we're picking poorly.
Yeah.
Clearly, people with very bad intentions are calling some shots here. And the Republicans know it just as well as we do. They don't have the luxury of standing by convictions because they have to win their seats back.
Mm.
And they'll get primaried and lose elections to people who are willing to just say, what's the party line? I'll say
Sounds
it. Give me the job.
Oh, it's about to be over.
Okay.
All right, let's end it here then.
All right.
That lasted a long. You guys killed the other two cameras
Well,
like 5 minutes ago.
lovely.
That's the longest
I guess it was
podcast
a
we've ever done. Anything else y'all want to say before we get off?
Heavily Spice is badass.
Yeah.
Tell your friends.
Thanks for
Thank you
thanks
so
for
much.
having us,
Thank for
man.
y'all. No
Yeah,
problem. All right,
absolutely.
I'll see y'all later. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.